Some of the strongest men who ever lived on this earth never touched a piece of meat. Not once, not ever. Samson tore a lion apart with his bare hands. David killed a giant with a single stone. The men who built the pyramids, who marched across deserts, who worked from sunrise to sundown in the fields, most of them lived on plants, grains, and seeds. And today, I'm going to show you the 20 plant foods that gave them that strength. Foods God planted in the ground thousands of years before a single supplement store ever existed. Number 6 on this list was eaten by a prophet in a story you already know, and it kept him stronger than men who ate from the king's own table. Number 14 was almost erased from the earth by an empire that feared what it gave people. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will never look at your kitchen the same way again. Let's get into it. Here are 20 plant foods that build real lasting muscle without a single bite of meat. Number 1. Lentils. We start in the dirt of Genesis itself. Lentils are one of the oldest foods mentioned in Scripture, the very stew Esau traded his entire birthright for, because he was so hungry he couldn't think straight. That's Genesis 25:34. But here's what most people don't know. Lentils show up again later in Ezekiel 4:9 in a bread recipe that combines wheat, barley, beans, lentils, and millet into one loaf. That's not a coincidence. That's a blueprint. Scripture itself pointing to the exact idea we're building this whole video around. Real strength from combined plants. Here's the number that matters. 1 cooked cup of lentils gives you around 18 grams of protein, plus iron and folate that help carry oxygen straight to your muscles. That's exactly what your body needs when you're working hard and trying to recover. Quick cooking tip. No soaking needed. Rinse them, simmer in water or broth for 20 minutes, and they're done. That's it. Growing tip. Lentils are shockingly easy to grow at home. Soak a handful of dried lentils overnight. Plant them shallow in well-drained soil, and they'll climb and produce pods within 70 to 80 days. You don't need acres. A single raised bed will do. This is not just an old story from Genesis. It's one of the most reliable muscle-building foods God ever put in the ground. Number 2. Chickpeas. Long before hummus was trendy, chickpeas were feeding shepherds and travelers across the exact lands where the patriarchs walked. This is a food of the Middle East, grown in the same soil Abraham once crossed. A cup of cooked chickpeas gives you 12 to 15 grams of protein along with slow-burning carbohydrates that fuel a long day of labor, exactly what a shepherd walking for miles would have needed. Roast them for a crunchy snack, blend them into hummus, or grind them into flour for flatbread. Growing tip. Chickpeas love heat and dry soil, and they're one of the most forgiving legumes for a beginner gardener. Plant after the last frost, and you'll have pods ready in about 100 days. This humble bean fed entire ancient economies. It's still one of the most complete, satisfying proteins you can grow in your own backyard. Number 3. Black beans. Now we cross an ocean into the Americas, where black beans were the backbone of survival for civilizations that had never even heard of Scripture. And yet God had already planted the same principle of provision into their soil. A cooked cup delivers around 15 grams of protein, rich in lysine and leucine, the exact amino acid that flips the switch on muscle growth in your body. Pair them with rice or corn and you get a complete protein profile, the same trick ancient farmers stumbled onto by instinct. Growing tip. Black beans are a beginner-friendly crop. Give them full sun, moderate water, and a trellis to climb, and you'll be harvesting dried pods in around 90 days. This wasn't a side dish. It was the quiet protein backbone of an entire hemisphere, and it can be yours for the cost of a seed packet. Number 4. Tofu. Here's where the story gets surprising. Tofu comes from soybeans pressed and curdled into soft white blocks, a tradition nearly 2,000 years old in East Asia. And here's the astonishing part. Soy is one of the very few plant foods containing all 9 essential amino acids in the right proportions, meaning it's a complete protein just like meat. Research has shown that soy protein, paired with resistance training, can build muscle just as effectively as whey powder. Extra firm tofu gives you around 10 grams of protein per serving and takes on any flavor you cook it with. Growing tip. Soybeans are surprisingly easy in a home garden. They need full sun and warm soil, and you can harvest edamame pods in about 80 days, or let them dry fully for tofu-making beans. For centuries, the West dismissed this as bland. That was their loss. Number 5. Tempeh. If tofu is the gentle cousin, tempeh is the bold older brother. Born in Indonesia centuries ago, tempeh is made by fermenting whole soybeans into a firm, nutty cake. Because it uses the whole bean, it delivers even more protein than tofu, around 18 to 19 grams per serving, a number that rivals many cuts of meat. The fermentation does something remarkable. It makes those nutrients easier for your body to absorb, and it adds gut-friendly probiotics that support recovery in ways most people never think about. Growing tip: you grow the same soybeans as tofu. The difference is entirely in how you ferment them at home afterward using a simple tempeh starter culture. Most people in the West have never tasted this. Once you do, you'll understand why entire communities were built strong on it. Number 6. Barley. Now for the food I teased at the start. This is the grain in the story of the boy with 5 loaves and 2 small fish. Barley loaves, the food of the poor and the working class in the time of the Gospels, multiplied to feed thousands. It wasn't wheat, the food of the wealthy. It was the humble grain of ordinary people, and it fed a multitude. A cooked cup of barley gives you about 3.5 grams of protein along with heavy fiber and slow-digesting carbs that keep your energy steady for hours. Perfect fuel before a long day of physical work. Growing tip: barley is one of the most drought-tolerant grains you can grow, thriving in poor soil where wheat struggles. Plant in early spring and harvest by midsummer. This wasn't a garnish. It was the everyday bread of the working world, and it still builds real, lasting strength today. Number 7. Quinoa. High in the Andes Mountains, a people called this seed the mother of all grains, and their emperors planted the first seeds of the season with golden tools. Quinoa isn't technically a grain at all. It's a seed, and it's one of the only plant foods on Earth containing all 9 essential amino acids in a complete profile. A cooked cup delivers around 8 grams of protein, along with the complex carbohydrates your muscles burn during a hard workout. Some researchers say its amino acid profile rivals casein, the slow-digesting protein bodybuilder's prize. Growing tip: quinoa grows well in cooler climates and poor soil, needing very little water once established. A true survival crop, just as it was for mountain civilization centuries ago. Colonizers tried to suppress this seed. It survived anyway, hidden in remote villages, waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. If you're already noticing how many of these forgotten foods were hiding in plain sight, hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who love plants, faith, and old wisdom that still works. And while you're at it, drop a comment right now telling me which team you're on so far. Team Lentils, Team Tempeh, or Team Quinoa. I want to see this comment section fill up before we even get to food number 20. And if you haven't subscribed to Healing Harvest yet, now's the time. We post every week uncovering God's pharmacy, one plant at a time. Number 8. Hemp seeds have been unfairly tangled up in confusion for decades, even though people have used them for thousands of years for food, fiber, and oil. Here's the surprising part. Hemp seeds are a complete protein containing all 9 essential amino acids with 9 to 10 grams of protein in just 3 tablespoons, and studies show your body absorbs over 88% of it. Beyond protein, hemp seeds carry healthy fats, fiber, and magnesium, a mineral your muscles need to contract and function properly. Sprinkle them on oatmeal, blend them into smoothies, or scatter them over a salad. No cooking required. Growing tip: hemp grows tall and fast in almost any soil with full sun, making it one of the lowest maintenance crops on this entire list, though check your local regulations before planting. This isn't just a topping, it's one of the most complete plant proteins available anywhere. Number 9. Pumpkin seeds. Every autumn, millions of people carve pumpkins and throw away one of the most valuable muscle foods hiding right inside. Pumpkin seeds, or pepitas, have been eaten across the Americas for thousands of years. A single ounce gives you around 8 to 9 grams of protein, but the real magic is in the minerals. Pumpkin seeds are extraordinarily rich in magnesium and zinc, both critical for muscle function and recovery. Magnesium helps your muscles work and relax. Zinc helps repair tissue after exercise. Growing tip: pumpkins need full sun, generous space to sprawl, and consistent watering. But the payoff is a harvest of seeds you can roast and salt yourself every single fall. It's a quiet tragedy how many of these seeds get tossed straight into the trash. Once you understand their power, you'll never waste them again. Number 10. Green peas. Don't let their small size fool you. The humble green pea has quietly fed humanity for thousands of years, going back to gardens mentioned in ancient texts across the Mediterranean world. A single cup of green peas contains around 8 to 9 grams of protein, along with meaningful amounts of leucine, lysine, and glutamine, amino acids essential for muscle building and recovery. That's exactly why pea protein has exploded in popularity as a supplement in recent years, but you don't need the powder. Plain frozen peas are cheap, easy to find, and ready in minutes. Growing tip: peas are one of the easiest cool season crops for beginners. Plant in early spring, give them a trellis, and harvest within 60 days. For generations, peas grew in nearly every cottage garden as a reliable, hardy crop. Modern supplement companies finally caught on. Now you can too. Number 11. Manna grass, wild wheat. Here's a story you already know, told from an angle you probably haven't heard. In the wilderness, the Israelites were fed by something that fell from the sky each morning. Bread they had never seen before that sustained an entire nation wandering for 40 years. Many scholars connect this provision to a wild grain that thrived in that exact desert terrain, related to the wheat we grow today. Modern wheat and its ancient wild relatives provide around 6 grams of protein per cooked cup. Along with complex carbohydrates, your body converts into steady, lasting energy, precisely what a nation on the move would have needed to keep walking day after day. Growing tip. Wheat is a cool season grain that thrives with minimal water once established, making it one of the most resilient, staple crops you can grow. This is the food of provision itself, proof that strength was never about abundance but about what God chooses to give. Number 12. Spirulina. More than 500 years ago, the Aztec people harvested a blue-green algae from the surface of Lake Texcoco, scooping it into fine nets and drying it into cakes. It fed as many as 1.5 million people, and their long-distance runners relied on it for strength and endurance. Spirulina is one of the most protein-dense foods ever discovered, containing all essential amino acids, with roughly 4 grams of protein in a single tablespoon, an astonishing amount for such a tiny serving. After the fall of the Aztec world, spirulina nearly vanished from human memory until researchers rediscovered communities in Africa still harvesting it centuries later. Growing tip, spirulina can actually be cultivated at home in a small tank with warm water, sunlight, and the right nutrient balance. It's one of the only foods on this list you can grow indoors year-round. Use it in modest amounts blended into smoothies, and always choose a trusted, tested source. Number 13. Seitan. This one was reportedly discovered by accident, by monks searching for a meat-free food more than 1,000 years ago. Seitan is made from wheat gluten, the protein in wheat, washed and worked until it becomes a dense, chewy, meat-like food. Here's the number that stops people in their tracks. Seitan delivers 20 to 25 grams of protein per serving, putting it right alongside many cuts of meat. Its texture is so satisfying that it's been a beloved staple in temple cooking across Asia for centuries. Important safety note, because seitan is pure wheat, gluten. Anyone with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity should avoid it completely. Growing tip. You grow the wheat itself, then extract and knead the gluten at home. A simple process using just wheat flour and water. And yes, before you say it in the comments, this really is wheat meat. Write that down. This isn't just a meat substitute. It's a 1,000-year-old discovery hiding in plain sight. Number 14. Amaranth. Long ago, a tiny golden seed was so important to the people of ancient Mexico that it was woven into their sacred ceremonies, grown alongside corn and beans, so central to their culture that colonizers once tried to erase it entirely. It survived anyway. Amaranth is a nearly complete protein, with about 14% protein content and a beautifully balanced amino acid profile, especially rich in lysine, an amino acid most grains badly lack. Beyond protein, amaranth is loaded with calcium, magnesium, iron, and manganese, minerals that support strong bones and proper muscle function. Growing tip. Amaranth grows tall, fast, and tolerates poor soil and drought better than almost any other crop on this list, making it ideal for beginner gardeners. Note, it's higher in carbohydrates than some other seeds on this list, so think of it as an energy and mineral food more than a pure protein food. It cooks into a porridge, pops like tiny popcorn, or blends into flour. A survival food and a sacred food all at once, and it's finding its way back to tables that need it. Number 15. Chia seeds. The word chia is said to mean strength, and that's no accident. Ancient peoples relied on these tiny seeds as a portable energy food, and legend holds that runners carried them on long, grueling journeys to sustain their stamina. Chia seeds are a complete protein, containing all 9 essential amino acids, with around 4 to 5 grams of protein per 2 tablespoons. But their real gift is staying power. When chia seeds meet liquid, they swell into a gel that slows digestion and releases energy gradually. Growing tip. Chia thrives in warm, dry climates with well-drained soil, and a single healthy plant can produce thousands of seeds from its small flower heads. Stir them into water, blend them into smoothies, or let them soak overnight into a thick, satisfying pudding. Sometimes the smallest seeds carry the greatest strength. Number 16. Peanuts. Despite the name, peanuts aren't nuts at all. They're legumes, cousins of beans and lentils, growing underground in humble little shells. quietly fueling hard-working people for generations across the Americas and Africa. Peanuts deliver around 7 grams of protein per ounce, and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter bring about 8 grams. They're dense, satisfying, and full of healthy fats and energy. An excellent way to add protein when you're trying to grow muscle. A gentle reminder, because peanuts are high in fat and calories, they're best enjoyed in reasonable portions, and anyone with a peanut allergy must avoid them entirely. Growing tip: peanuts need warm soil and a long growing season, but they're remarkably low maintenance once established, pushing their pods underground to mature. This is not just a sandwich filling. It's a legume powerhouse hiding in plain sight. Number 17. Almonds. Few foods carry as deep a history as the almond. It's mentioned in the oldest texts, including the story of a rod that miraculously blossomed and bore almonds overnight, a sign of provision and chosen strength. For thousands of years across the Middle East, this tree nut was treasured and given as a precious gift. A single ounce of almonds provides around 6 grams of protein, along with healthy fats, vitamin E, and magnesium, the critical mineral for muscle function. Growing tip: almond trees need a warm climate and patience. They take 3 to 4 years to bear their first harvest, but a single tree can produce for decades once established. Almonds are calorie-dense, so a sensible handful goes a long way. Few foods combine such ancient reverence with such modern usefulness. Number 18. Farro. This is the second food I teased at the start, and its history is the stuff of legends. Farro is one of the oldest cultivated grains in human history, an ancient form of wheat that fed soldiers and citizens of mighty empires who marched and fought across vast distances on grain rations alone. A cooked cup of farro delivers around 6 to 8 grams of protein, far more than most refined grains, along with abundant fiber and slow-release carbohydrates that refill your energy stores and spare your protein for the work of repair and growth. Growing tip: farro is remarkably drought-tolerant and grows well in poor soil, much like its wild ancestors, a forgiving grain for a first-time grower. Quick cooking tip: farro doesn't need soaking either. Simmer it in salted water for about 25 minutes until it's chewy, then toss it with olive oil, herbs, and whatever vegetables you have. Instant salad. Safety note: like all wheat, farro contains gluten, so those with celiac disease should avoid it. For everyone else, it's a taste of the strength that built empires. Number 19. Oats. You probably already have this food in your kitchen, with no idea how powerful it really is. Oats have nourished people across cold northern lands for centuries. The reliable, hearty grain that kept farmers and laborers full and strong through long working days. A cup of cooked oats provides a surprising 5 to 6 grams of protein, far more than most people expect from a simple bowl of breakfast cereal. Combined with slow-digesting complex carbohydrates, oats keep you fueled for hours, making them one of the best foods to eat before a hard day of work. Growing tip: oats are a cool season crop, easy for beginners, tolerating poor soil far better than most grains. Plant in early spring for a late summer harvest. Stir in hemp seeds, chia, or almonds, stacking several of these foods into one powerful bowl. We just stopped paying attention. It never stopped being powerful. Number 20. Buckwheat. We finish with one final surprise, a food whose very name is misleading. Despite being called buckwheat, it isn't wheat at all, and it contains no gluten whatsoever. It's a seed related to rhubarb, cultivated across Asia and Eastern Europe for centuries as a hardy crop that grows where little else will. Buckwheat is one of the rare plant foods with a complete amino acid profile, particularly rich in lysine, the amino acid most grains lack. A cooked serving brings a solid dose of protein along with magnesium and manganese that support muscle function and recovery. Growing tip: buckwheat grows remarkably fast, ready to harvest in as little as 70 days, and it's often used by gardeners simply to enrich poor soil for the next season's crop. Because it's gluten-free and thrives where nothing else will, buckwheat has been a survival food for countless generations. It asks for so little and gives back so much. The perfect note to end on. If you made it all the way to the end, you now know something most people completely miss. The idea that you need meat to build a strong, capable, God-honoring body was never true. For thousands of years, shepherds, prophets, farmers, and entire nations grew strong on lentils, beans, seeds, ancient grains, and humble plants that God planted directly into the soil. These aren't just old stories. They're living, growing, usable wisdom, planted right there in Scripture and in the ground beneath your own feet. So here's what I want you to do. Smash that like button if this video changed how you think about strength and provision. Drop a comment and tell me your full team list. Which of these 20 are already in your kitchen? And which ones are you trying for the first time this week? Were you shocked that lentils show up twice in scripture, that monks accidentally invented wheat meat, or that a food from your own grandmother's kitchen made this list without you even realizing it? If one of these plants carries a memory for you, a grandparent's recipe, a dish from your childhood, a food that got you through a hard season, tell me about it below. I read every single comment, and those stories are my favorite part of doing this. And here's something to bring you back next week. We didn't cover flax seeds, sorghum, millet, or red kidney beans in this video, and some of you are already asking why. That's because they deserve their own full episode. So if you want part 2 of this series, subscribe and turn on notifications right now so you don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss what's coming next from Healing Harvest. We're building a community here. People who understand that some of God's greatest gifts for health have been growing quietly around us all along, waiting patiently to be rediscovered.